Manchester City are looking to rewrite the narrative of this season so far because there is a lot of negativity surrounding the performances and the results of Manchester City from the red media, which is to be expected. I think City fans have grown used to that sort of level of punditry and journalistic approach from this red media that's incredibly biased. I mean, the headlines going into this Fulham game, for example, are Manchester City are looking to avoid going 3 games without a victory, not looking to remain undefeated this season or to reach their 50th home game at the Etihad unbeaten, with 49 games unbeaten at the Etihad right now. So that's not the narrative they want to run with, though. They want to stick the knife into Manchester City and really make it a narrative that spins a very ugly picture for Manchester City and our fans as well. Whereas Arsenal right now, they're the media darlings right now, loved, as are Liverpool as well. The promotion of those two football clubs right now is purely to get the neutrals excited and not to see a five-peat. They don't want to see it. And I understand that, but they don't want to talk about the fact that Manchester City have got 4 Premier League titles in a row. They do not want to talk about this at all. And it's going to be an incredibly difficult game for Manchester City because Fulham, they've got up to an unbelievable start. So I'm excited for the game. I think if we comfortably beat them, that's where we change the narrative, though. Any sort of like 2-1 scrappy win, I want to see us just really, really convincingly beat Fulham. I think we can. We did it last season. We actually scored 9 goals against them last season, but I feel like Marco Silva's got them playing. He's really got them firing on all cylinders this season. They've got 11 points from a total possibility of 18 points this season, Fulham have. So they're their best start in the Premier League since 2003. It's going to be a great game. So come and join me for the watch-along. I'm really, really excited for this one. It's a 3 o'clock kickoff here in the UK. Come and join me for the watch-along. It's going to be feisty. And an opportunity for City to potentially get their top spot back on the Premier League as well, because Liverpool play at 12:30. They're the lunchtime kickoff away to Palace, which is not an easy fixture, a very difficult fixture. They're notoriously poor at 12:30 kickoffs. According to Jurgen Klopp, they were, at least anyway. He hated it. He hated it. Whether Arne Slot's got him playing a different style of football that's a little bit more suited to playing at 12:30 than 3 o'clock. That's the sort of bollocks that Jurgen Klopp used to come out with. But yeah, you know, the facts actually are that they don't perform that well on 12:30. For whatever reason that is, I do not know what they have for breakfast. I don't know. Either way, it's an interesting fixture that I think City may be able to look at and say they might drop points there. I'm not sure they will, but it's a really difficult fixture for Liverpool. Arsenal are going to be hot on our heels. They're playing at the same time as we are at home to Southampton. Southampton are probably the worst performing side in the league so far this season for me. So I think there's an almost guaranteed 3 points there for Arsenal, which makes our game vitally important. We have to stay above Arsenal. It's come down to goal difference as well. So there's a very good opportunity for Arsenal to even overtake us, even if we win. That's why I want the convincing result from Manchester City. So I really want to see us a 3 or 4-0, sort of something like that. Convincing at the back and convincing up top is what I really want to see from Manchester City. And guess what? If you're convincing at the back and convincing up top, you usually win. You usually win the football match that you're in. So I'm confident that we will win. But like I said, it's going to be really, really difficult. Fulham have just beaten Newcastle, and we know how difficult that can be. It was at Craven Cottage, of course. They were unbeaten as well. So they also faced Forest recently and beat them. They were unbeaten as well. So they've recently just beaten 2 unbeaten sides, and they're now facing their 3rd unbeaten side in a row. So, you never know. It is at the Etihad, a place where Fulham, they don't travel well at the Etihad. Their last win, I think, was back in 2009. But when they used to beat us, they used to be a very difficult fixture for Manchester City. They used to beat us. In fact, 3 of their most recent 4 wins, most recent win was in 2009 for Fulham. But 3 of those 4 wins, the recent wins, were at the Etihad. So they do travel well to the Etihad when they win, but we're talking about Roy Hodgson being the manager back in those days with Jimmy Bullard in midfield and Bobby Zamora up front, and really difficult fixtures back then. But since then, we've won 16 in a row, which is the longest winning streak against any side in English football history, you know? So we do tend to beat Fulham. Recent history is very much in Manchester City's favour, but they're an enjoyable side to watch, Fulham. They're a very good football side. Marco Silva gets them very well organised. They have lovely rotation on the sides of the pitch as well. They get the fullbacks, the number 8, the number 9, and the winger, all rotating beautifully to create very difficult attacks and attacking plays that are difficult to get to stop. And they're difficult to get past. They don't press high as well. They usually offer a mid block, a mid to low block, where they get involved in midfield. If you cross the halfway line, they start to press down. But I have a feeling they're going to let us have the ball. They beat Newcastle 3-1, and they did that with 38% possession. So the facts are that they can win games without the ball, and that's a worst case scenario. That's a nightmare scenario for Manchester City, because that we're going to dominate the ball. And with a side that's got Adama Traore, who's absolutely lethal on the counter-attack, it's going to be a difficult game for Manchester City. I don't think... I mean, excuse me, I don't think they've got any individuals. I've named Adama Traore there, but I don't consider Fulham to be a side that's got a certain individual that you need to pick on. I think they're a very well-balanced and organised side with no individual superstars and a very good collective team spirit that they've got there, and a reasonable level of quality throughout their team. It's not Champions League quality, but they're a very well-established Premier League side that cause problems on their day. They are not a difficult side, not an easy side to play against. They can be difficult on their day. So yeah, Emile Smith-Rowe, an amazing transfer that's worked out incredibly well. He's hit the ground running at Fulham. There's a little narrative as well. Former Arsenal man comes back to put a sting in the tail for Fulham and haunt Manchester City. You know, you can see it coming. Those sort of narratives that the media are just ready to write those headlines. So we need to nip that in the bud. And a big, comfortable win against Fulham will do just that. Alex Iwobi playing very well. I don't think he's an amazing player by any stretch of the imaginations, but he's playing well right now. Raul Jimenez as well just scored his 50th goal recently. And he scored 3 in 3 as well. Someone who I felt like was falling off after that skull injury that he had some years ago. He was never the same player when he came back. Recently this season, though, he's firing again. He's got going again, and he's an old school number 9 that's going to cause problems for Manchester City. So I do think it's going to be a really difficult game, but surely we have enough to get past this Fulham side and get the 3 points. But the most important thing I want to see from Manchester City is a big win. I feel like this should be 3-0. A comfortable win where we just we go up a notch, you know, and rewrite that narrative. There is a formation as well, a new player and a new position that I want to see as well. And I'm going to get onto the tactics board as well, which is, I don't think it's that innovative. I just feel like it could freshen things up and reinvigorate the Manchester City side and just add a bit more razzmatazz into that midfield that I want to see a little bit more of. I want to hear your thoughts on this as well, so I'm going to get onto the tactics board now. But before I do the City side, I'm going to do Fulham's first. So predicted starting 11. Actually, hang on. Team news. Forgot to do team news. Fulham, they've got Carlos Vinicius. He is a doubt for the game. And that's it. They've got a full strength squad apart from Carlos Vinicius, and even he's a doubt. So there is a possibility that he could play in this game. So there could be a full strength Fulham side that Manchester City have to contain in this game. With regards to Manchester City, the usuals, which are going to be saying this all season now, Rodri is out. It's a depressing statement I have to make every week now for the rest of the season, which is miserable. It's bloody miserable. Ake's still out as well, which is a big blow, because I feel like we need to start rotating Gvardiol, because he's playing a lot of football. Fantastic football from Gvardiol in truth, but the facts are he needs resting once in a while, and if Nathan Ake's not available, we're pretty short on that left side of the defence. So Nathan Ake's still out. Of course, Oscar Bob as well with that fractured leg. You're hoping to see him in the early stages of 2025. That would be nice. And De Bruyne is still out. Again, international break. After the international break now is when we're expecting to see De Bruyne. He wasn't picked in the Belgium squad, which is good, but also, well, how injured is he? Because how many times have we seen this from Kevin De Bruyne? A little injury that's supposed to be like, oh, he wasn't too bad. Straight after the Inter Milan game, Pep said, oh, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. Yeah, he'll be back soon. 4 weeks later, it's like, where's Kevin De Bruyne? Do you know what I mean? We do this with players. We keep their injuries under wraps and hide the severity of it. Just be clear with us, because it's frustrating, because we're so eager to see these players. You know, and I feel like it's just Pep not wanting to give the psychological advantage to the likes of Arsenal and Liverpool and thinking, we know Rodri's out. There was no hiding that. There was no hiding that, unfortunately. It was too big a profile of an injury. Kevin De Bruyne is out. Phil Foden was out for big spells of this season. Early on, we've just missed him, and it was supposed to be an illness. That illness lasted nearly a month. What was it? It's crazy how we keep these injuries under wraps, and De Bruyne has been out for 5 games now. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, losing a player of that quality is a big, big loss for Manchester City, but that's it in terms of players that we're missing. So, yeah, key players. Rodri and De Bruyne, massive, massive players for Manchester City. There's no two ways about it. But anyway, yeah, back to the tactics board. Bernd Leno in goal for Fulham. Kenny Tete at right back. Anthony Robinson. Those two, by the way, they're going to bomb forward. It's not just Adama Traore and Iwobi who are going to be dangerous players that we need to worry about the counter-attacks. These two get forward, mate, and they rotate between them. You could see Adama Traore and Iwobi tucking inside a little bit and seeing these two on the overlap frequently. So it's a dangerous counter-attacking side we're going up against. But surely we've got enough. Surely. Come on, City. Calvin Bassey and Joachim Andersen are the back two centre-backs. In front of them, you could see Sander Berge, who's playing pretty well for them. A good signing for them. I mean, Sasa Lukic, though, has been a level above him, in my opinion, and he's been playing the majority of the games for Fulham this season, so I think they're going to stick with him in Sasa Lukic. And Ander Pereira, who had the ball snatched off him by Jimenez for that penalty in the previous game against Newcastle, and was frustrated in that situation as well. The regular penalty taker, but yeah, anyway, I don't think that drama's spilled over into any nastiness that we can take advantage of in this game, but, you know, worth mentioning at least. Emile Smith-Rowe in front of them, who's got off to a great start. He's in the assists. He's involved in goals right now. He's playing well. He's been a good signing for them. And Raul Jimenez ahead of them. On the right, Adama Traore, their little version of Doku, a very similar sort of player, incredibly skillful, incredibly quick, powerful, explosive, but infuriating end product. Like, he's very much of that same calibre of player, isn't he, Adama Traore? And Alex Iwobi on the left, which I think will be the... And they've stuck with that 11. It's been quite an easy 11 to predict. I feel like there may only be one change, if any, in that Fulham side, because they've been playing that 11 for most of the games this season, which therefore means that there's a level of consistency there and understanding and cohesiveness that Fulham have achieved this season with that 11. And it's got them 11 points out of 18 available to them, so it's working. So we've got to be wary of this side, we really do. Edison in the bags. Now, I'm going to pick the side I want first and then pick the side that I think Pep's going to do. So this is the side I want. I want to see Akanji in the back three as the right side of the three. Ruben Diaz, Josko at the left side of the three. Because of the midfield that we're going up against, Sasa Lukic, yeah, he's physical, but he's not, you know, when I was talking about I wanted to see John Stones in the midfield, I was thinking of Bruno Guimaraes, Joel Linton, Tonali. That midfield was big, physical, scary. And Rico Lewis, he did reasonably well against them, in fairness to him. Didn't have his greatest game, but he didn't get bullied, which was a key component. I thought he was fantastic against Bratislava, Rico Lewis. I gave him man of the match. I thought he was really, really good. You're hoping that the fact that he played recently midweek, as did John Stones, that those minutes aren't going to be too detrimental to his fitness for this game. I feel like if it was going to be a player to be a problem for, it's more likely to be a problem for John Stones, who needs to be a little bit more careful and wrapped up in cotton wool a little bit more than Rico Lewis does because of his tendency to pick up an injury or two, does John Stones. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Rico, as I don't think the physical aspect of the game is too much of a concern in midfield for this game. Kovacic alongside him is going to be there majority of the season. I'm going to pick the wide players first. I'm going to go with Savinho on the left, Doku on the right, Haaland up front. Now we get into the interesting part of the pitch, and remember, this is the side I want, not the side I think Pep will pick. I want to see Phil Foden in there, who showed a real brightness to his game against Bratislava. Again, can't emphasise enough that it was Bratislava. He didn't have a great game against Watford, in truth, and that was Watford, so you would expect to see a little bit more from Phil Foden. Now then, I want to see Jack Grealish in there, mate, because I think he's been playing really well this season, and I feel like he's being underutilised, and I feel like he has been his whole time at Manchester City, to be honest. Look at the number that he is. Just let me get my cursor out of the way so you can read it. Look at his shirt number. He's number 10. He knows what he wants to be, and he's done whatever Pep's asked of him, and he's not complained about it. He sees himself as a number 10, as do I. I feel like he's brilliant in the pockets, his ball retention is fantastic, and those are traits that are more suited to a central midfielder for me. I've always thought he should play a little bit more inside. Even when we were sending Gvardiol forward, I thought Grealish started to play better towards the back end of last season as he inverted inside and got out of the way of that wing side and let Gvardiol go on the overlap last season. It was susceptible to counter-attacks because you're sending Gvardiol so far forward, but when Grealish was tucking inside in positions like this and Gvardiol was coming forward, again, yeah, there's that big gap at the back, that's the problem. But when Grealish is there, he's dangerous. That's a pocket that I feel like he's more dangerous in. And I just don't think Pep wants to do it. And also, Bernardo Silva, I don't think he's in great form right now. He hasn't had a great start to the season. He isn't playing that well. But he is the most undroppable player in Pep's eyes. He adores him, doesn't he? Pep and Bernardo Silva, they're just like that. Do you know? They're inseparable in terms of the selection, the starting 11. If it's a big game, and every Premier League game is a big game, Bernardo Silva starts. So what I think the starting 11 will actually be, I feel like he might drop Doku. I feel like he'll play Savinho out here. He'll put Grealish out there. And I feel like he'll put Bernardo Silva in there. And I think that will be the starting 11 that Pep will pick. That's my predicted starting 11. But like I said, I can't emphasise enough that I want to see Jack Grealish given a go inside because of his form lately. He's playing well. That pass to Gvardiol against Newcastle, a wonderful assist. That performance against Newcastle out on the left-hand side was brilliant. We're struggling for a little bit of just something, that X factor in the middle of the park, because Phil Foden's not firing on all cylinders just yet. If he steps it up a level, it will take the weight off the shoulders of whoever's his partner as a number 10 alongside him. If he can step it up, then yeah, the problem's almost gone there, because Phil Foden's just sensational, as we saw last season. But you're putting Grealish in there. I feel like there's a player in form in a more dangerous position, and I feel like his relationship with Haaland could blossom into something we've not seen before and just freshen things up in that Manchester City midfield that I feel like this side needs a little bit of freshening up right now. I feel like it's gone a little bit stale. The results are still there. We're undefeated. There's not too much negativity to speak about for City. A dropped 2 points at Newcastle isn't the end of the world. But there was just something missing from the game, and I feel like City could have that razzmatazz, that little bit of X factor. The chemistry could be seen going up a level by putting Grealish in the middle, and I would like to see it, but I'm not sure Pep will do it. But what do you think, Blues? What's your predictions? Get in the comments below. Let us know your predictions. I'm going to go 2-0. I want to see more than that, but I feel like 2-0 might be a fair scoreline, because I feel like this Fulham side are going to be difficult to beat comfortably. But a 2-0 scoreline against Fulham, it's not going to rewrite the headlines like I want them to be. City are back. City are there. They're the force. They're the number one side to beat. Right now, it's all about Liverpool and Arsenal because of the narrative they want to spin. But ultimately, a win is all that matters for this game. I just want to see something really convincing from Manchester City. What are your predictions? Don't forget to join me for the watch-along. Come and join me for that 3 o'clock kickoff tomorrow. I'm excited, Blues. Get in the comments below. Let us know your thoughts. Like and subscribe to Typical City, and I'll see you in the next one.
This is Typical City.